Okay, this is the first test of an adventure game book as an audio. I'll be basically playing through one. Don't know if people will be interested, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. First one, the Transformers Peril from the Stars. Published by Corgi in the UK. Written by Dave Morris, who incidentally also worked for them doing the Hero Quest books. So, yeah, a bit of a connection to things there. Illustrated by Bob Harvey. And can't say much about Bob Harvey. Competent enough artist. Although the artwork in this book is not particularly the best. Yeah, adequate enough, but yeah. Right, I won't bother with the intro bit because yeah, I'll read some of it because too much of it I think gives away a bit, but anyway. Right. Evil robots walk among us. Earth has been invaded by powerful robots from the distant planet Cybertron. The heroic Autobots and their enemies, the evil Decepticons. They can disguise their robot shapes as earthly machines and transform for battle at lightning speed. The battle between good and evil rages on Earth. You are the hero of this book. You are suddenly thrust into the deadly struggle. Right, so as most adventure game books, we'll start with section 1. Your uncle and aunt are astronomers, but not the sort of astronomers who just sit around calculating things. I'm not sure there's a bunch that do that, to do other things as well, but they are much more adventurous than that, and are always travelling to exotic corners of the globe to watch distant nebulae through some of the world's most powerful telescopes. Presently they are staying at secluded Los Palomos Observatory, high up in the mountains. You are lucky enough to be able to visit there for a week, and you are looking forward to a quite unusual holiday. Uncle Jack picks you up at the airport, and you begin your long drive up into the mountains. Uncle Jack seems to be absorbed with some problem or other, for he is puffing furiously at his pipe, as he often does when he is thinking hard. After a while, you stop at a petrol station, and Uncle Jack has just gone inside to pay the attendant when you see a bright flare of red light in the sky. I think the Los Palomos Observatory got a Spanish name, so it's probably America. Actually, there's no such place as Los Palomos, is there? Yeah, but it makes sense. Fictional. Okay, I've got two options. I can tell Uncle Jack about the light, or keep quiet about what I saw. I'm pretty sure I'm going to tell my Uncle Jack about that, because there's a brilliant flare of red light in the sky, and he's an astronomer, he likes sky stuff. Okay, I'll tell Uncle Jack. A look of alarm appears on your uncle's face as you describe what you saw. You are not really sure that he would believe you, but seems to be taking it very seriously. He is very worried that your aunt may be in danger. I'm going to the observatory, he tells you, as he jumps back into the car. You better stay here for now, and I'll come and get you when I've checked things out up there. Yeah, I'm not very good at voices. Uncle Jack calls out to Olaf, the big man who runs the petrol station, to take care of you for an hour or so. Sure thing, Dr. Richards, replies Olaf, wiping his hand on an oil rig. The kid will be safe here. You watch your uncle drive off. Olaf tells you not to worry. You probably just saw an electrical storm or something, he says. But you know that Uncle Jack thought it was more than that. Olaf gets you a Coke from the fridge and goes off to do some repairs to his truck. Okay, you got Los Palomos. There's probably a parody of Los Alamos, which would be Brazilian, Mexico, that kind of border area. With a guy called Olaf. Do you see many Olafs in Mexican area? Okay. Also, I don't like the idea of getting a Coke, I'd rather Pepsi. Okay, so I've got a choice now. Wait here, as your uncle asked you to do, or sneak off and start walking up to the observatory. But if I stand around here, it's going to be a bit boring, so I'm probably going to wander off. A car is approaching from further down the valley. You have not walked very far, but it seems miles in the scorching mid-afternoon heat. A glimmering white Porsche pulls up beside you, You glance around, expecting to see a friendly face offering you a welcome lift, but there's no driver. It's a Porsche 934, I think? Less than that. It's a touring racing model. Your astonishment grows even more when a few minutes later a voice comes from the car. Better get in, kid. Things are going to be hotting up around here pretty soon. That's okay, you call out angrily. I know there's someone in there. This is a lousy joke if you ask me. Joke? This is no joke, says the voice again. I don't imagine there's anyone hiding inside you, so why should you suppose there's anyone inside me? Come on, open the door and take a look for yourself. You reach out and open the car door. Sure enough, there's no one inside. Enough. Really, you better hurry. We may not have much time. The voice comes from a microphone set in the dashboard. Because for some reason, microphones microphones do act as speakers actually, but not very good ones. But that probably should be a speaker, not a microphone. You realise that the car itself is alive and talking to you. Because you hear a voice. Yeah. You look like a fish with your mouth gaping, says the car. Hurry, hurry, hurry. You can be astonished once we're on our way. Noting the urgency in the voice, you climb in. As soon as you close the door, the car starts of its own accord and sets off on the winding road that leads to the observatory. Want some drive while we drive? Asks the car. I'm not even going to try Scatman Crothers' voice. Seriously, I'm not going to try. Before you can reply, concealed stereo speakers launch into a swinging rhythm. Would you mind telling me who you are? You yell, struggling to make yourself heard above the music. The volume drops to a more comfortable level. Sorry, I didn't mean to deafen you. I'm Jazz, one of the Transformers. I'm on a special mission for Optimus Prime. So are you now, in a manner of speaking. You're about to pour out a torrent of questions when the great dome of the observatory comes into view, looming high on a crag ahead. Uncle Jack's car is stationary in the middle of the road. The door is open and you can see no sign of your uncle. So do you get Jazz to pull up here? Or do you urge him to carry on to the observatory? Again, as I referenced to, if you don't know, Jazz was voiced in the original cartoon by Scatman Crothers, a very good singer and actor. Oh, list the amount of things he was in. Tons of stuff. I would say Hong Kong Phooey. That'll give you a good idea. Right, so do I get him to pull up or do I urge him to hurry on? Well, I'm going to pull up because... yeah, you'll be more panicking about your uncle, really, I think. Hey, wait! You yell suddenly. Something's wrong here. That's my uncle's car. Jazz screeches to a halt, just a few meters short of your uncle's abandoned car. Could be a trap, he agrees. I better scan the area. Colored lights wink on the dashboard as Jazz senses play across your surroundings. Ah, yes, remarks Jazz suddenly. It's a good thing you stopped me when you did. We're about to drive into a null field. That must be what stopped your uncle's car. You're about to ask Jazz what a null field is, because you're pretty dumb and don't understand the idea of null. But you decide you probably wouldn't understand the answer. A door opens next to you. You have to get out now. I must shield my circuits from the null field, and for that I must get changed. Changed into what? You ask as you get out of the car. When you look back at Jazz, you can hardly believe your own eyes. At first it looks as if he is rearing up on his back wheels. Then a robotic head appears from the hoods of the Porsche, and mighty arms unfold from his sides. In a moment he has become a mighty robot warrior, standing on the dusty mountain road beside you. That's not too bad a description of the actual transformation sequence for Jazz, actually. Cut down a lot, but yeah. Although the arms actually come from underneath the hood, and they fold down and then out. But yeah, fair enough. This is my true form, Jazz explains as he stoops to examine the abandoned car. We Autobots, like the evil Decepticons, possess the ability to disguise ourselves as Earth-type machines. Luckily, he adds, my own Earth mode is one of the most stylish. Your uncle is not in the car or anywhere nearby. You assume that he went to the observatory on foot when the mysterious snowfield mobilized his car. Jazz has come to the same conclusion. Perhaps you should wait here, he suggests, while I investigate the observatory. You now get a choice between going along with his plan or assisting the company, Jazz. Yeah, I'm going to accompany him because, again, if I didn't stop back with Olaf, I'm not going to stop with this guy. Well, there's no big guy there. Yeah, Bob Harley really doesn't do good artwork. So I just seen the picture on this page, and yeah, it's roughly based on the toy of Jazz, though very stretched proportions, and for some reason, his head's shot up half a mile into the air, and his doors, which normally on the animation model they didn't actually have the dolls sticking out, but they've become more of a crest like Hot Rod. Well, if you don't know Hot Rod, that was not going to help much, but anyway. Jazz seems almost to shrug his armoured shoulders. Very well, he says, it's up to you. But make sure you stay near me. He reveals a bizarre rifle that shimmers in the bright sunlight. What could have caused the null field, you ask as you plod along the road to the observatory. I cannot be sure, Judge replies, but I've a nasty suspicion that it's something to do with a very powerful foe of mine. Still, perhaps I'm just being too cautious. It may be nothing so serious after all. Something catches your eye. A furtive movement behind the nearby boulder. Jazz is preoccupied with keeping his senses shielded from the null field and does not notice anything until you point it out. Now, do I tell Jazz to blast the boulder with the rifle? Oh good, you see a bit of movement, it could be your uncle to tell him to shoot it. Yeah. Or wait to see who or what it is behind the boulder. I'm gonna wait because, as I said, if it turns out to be your uncle saying, you just shot your uncle. So, I'm gonna wait. Just as you draw level with the boulder, Uncle Jack steps out from behind it and stands on the road ahead of you. He has a revolver in his hand. Oh goody, I'm right. Okay, robot, he says to Jazz. Better let the youngster go. He waves the gun menacingly. To use an Earth expression, you have gotten hold of the wrong end of the stick, Jazz replies. The youngster is my friend, not my captive. You're moving towards Uncle Jack. He sees that you are safe and begins to level the revolver at Jazz. He is not sure whether to trust the robot or not. Suddenly a determined look appears on his face, and you are sure that he is about to fire. See, now this is a bit weird in a way. He points the gun at Jazz, and then he levels it at Jazz. Doesn't that kind of mean he's same position? Also another Bob Hanley artwork, still the same kind of design. Right, do I knock Uncle Jack's arm aside to spoil his aim, or stand by and let him shoot? Not too sure revolver shooting at a car is going to do much damage, but I'm going to knock his arm aside. No, Uncle Jack, you shout as you push his arm aside. Jazz is here to help us. The hastily fired bullet misses your friend and throws a shower of rock fragments from the boulder behind. Uncle Jack lowers the gun. I'm sorry, Jazz. Perhaps I'm too confused to think clearly. Some strange things have been going on around here. I know, says Jazz. That's why I've come. Let's go up to the observatory and I'll explain everything. The three of you set off towards the observatory. As you approach, you see a slim figure of your aunt emerge and come hurrying towards you. Sue! Your uncle cries out to her. This is Jazz, and he says he's a friend. Aunt Sue watches Jazz suspiciously, but then she smiles at you and ruffles your hair. I'm glad to see you're okay. Come on inside now. It'll be getting dark soon. Sure enough, the sun is already dipping below the horizon. You can feel a chill in the night air. As you enter the observatory, Jazz suggests that you all go up to the dome. He is going to explain his mission to you. Now, okay, I'm not quite sure how big the doors are on observatories, but Jazz is not one of the just a bit taller than human height ones. So you're looking at a good 13, 14 foot? Yeah, big doors in these observatories, aren't they? Suppose it might be actually, but yeah, yeah. A spiral staircase leads up to the vast dome of the observatory. As you reach the top, the first thing you see is the telescope itself. It is vast, perhaps 15 meters long, and surrounded by a computer-operated hydraulic supports that can direct it to any specific point in the heavens. See, now, if this is one of the big telescopes of the world, it'd probably do it working differently, because then by having multiple arrays of the telescope, it's more powerful. But Simple, simple. Jazz turns to your uncle. Dr. Richards, can you tell me any strange incidents that have occurred around here recently? Uncle Jack takes out his pipe. Well, the first thing was when we were observing the Fauquier cluster. Fauquier cluster? Late last night. There was a brilliant burst of red light in the sky, and the instruments went all haywire for several minutes. A similar phenomenon occurred this morning, just when I was about to set off for the airport. And as you know, the ignition on my car failed on the way here this afternoon. It is as I suspected, said Jazz solemnly, nodding his head. All evidence points to one of the deadliest Decepticons of all. The name hangs in the air like a death knell. Starscream. Yeah, that kind of makes sense because Starscream has a null ray. You can nullify your great things, yeah. Don't know if it's one of the deadliest. Kind of persistent, but there you go. Still a powerful one. With night falling outside the dome, the three of you listen attentively as Jazz tells his story. The Transformers come originally from the planet Cybertron. One group of us, the Autobots, the group which I belong to, are peace-loving and mean no harm to the people of Earth. But the other group, the evil Decepticons, delight only in conquest and destruction. Recently, while studying our ancient records, I discovered that a space pod containing many powerful weapons was launched from Cybertron when our planet passed close to yours. This happened many million years ago, and the pod must be drifting in orbit around the sun ever since. Obviously, Starscream has learnt of these weapons and hopes to acquire them. Now, again, this is a quite interesting point, because if you go by the early stuff, which wasn't really in the cartoon, but was in the stuff... Well, got retconned at the cartoon. If you know what a pilot is, when they're writing the original pilot script, one of the ideas with Cybertron was a roaming planet. It basically moves like a comet, in a way. So it had past Earth in the past, and a bit like on that. This was used in the cartoon slightly. One episode, I'm gonna say Fire in the Sky. You find that at one point when Cybertron did pass close to Earth in the past, and this was quite a few million years ago. So that's about right. And in fact, Starscream was one of the ones that visited Earth at the time. There's not any human life, just fly by a bit. So yeah, it actually makes quite sense. Do I ask Jazz for more information about Starscream, or ask him why he thinks Starscream is interested in the observatory? I'm going to ask about what he thinks of the observatory. Starscream needs a powerful telescope to locate the weapons pod in space, replies your Autobot friend. He could not use the telescopes and computers at Decepticon HQ, because that would alert his fellow Decepticons to his plan. Treacherous Starscream is forever plotting to take over from mighty Megatron as leader of the evil forces. If the weapon pod falls into his hands, he may well succeed. This is true. Starscream constantly thinks he's better than he is and wants to take over. Literally constantly, every time Megatron's seemingly out of action or so, he declares himself leader. Eventually he does get to become leader for like 5 minutes and gets killed for it, basically. So yeah, that's nice. Good film. The thought of that makes you shudder. Jazz tells you that he must spend a few minutes analysing the enemy's probable course of action. He bows his head deep in thought. Yeah, there's another Bob Haley image, one of Starscream, again based on the toy. And what's interesting, the problem with the Starscream toy, it was one of these ones with external parts he had to connect to. So when his arms came out, and you had to clip on hands, otherwise he's got these weird stubs. Now the problem is, this picture, one arm doesn't have the hand on, and the other arm, he's got the stub of the arm, and then the hands just sitting at an angle that shouldn't technically be, and then one of these cannons on his arm actually goes behind his back wings while being in front. It's a very weirdly posed image, based on the toy, but very weird. Anyway, Jazz suddenly says, perhaps you would like to be entertained by some excellent Earth music. Like orchestral music blasts from Jazz's built-in speakers and echoes around the huge dome. Hey, yow! Turn it down, Jazz, you tell him. Uncle Jack covers his ears. Aunt Sue does not seem bothered by the noise. She's probably a bit deaf. Sorry, Jazz says to you, I keep forgetting you Earth people can't tolerate the same level of noise that we Transformers can. My speakers can reach 180 decibels, you know. He remarks proudly. Just so as long as we're nowhere nearby when they do, says your uncle, chuckling. Suddenly, everyone goes quiet. Jazz stops the music. Straining your ears, you hear the sound of an airplane approaching the observatory. 180 decibels. That is loud, but I don't really think it's loud. I mean, well, yeah, I suppose 180. Yeah, fireworks about 140. And not normal car stereos. If you've got like the decent ordinary car stereos, goes about 140. So it will be dangerous over a long period of time. But 180 is not much better. But yeah, okay. I'm actually gonna say the high-end custom jobs, which makes sense. That's Starscream, murmurs Jazz, listening to the drone of the aircraft engines. But why is he coming in at supersonic speed? You think you can hear a second set of engines along with the first. Maybe he's going slowly so that slow Decepticon can keep up, you suggest. Jazz nods silently. Yes, it all fits. You see, I've noticed your aunt is behaving very strangely for an Earth person. You look around to discover Aunt Sue holding a gun at you. Sue! Exclaims Uncle Jack. She's under the control of Bombshell, another Decepticon, says Jazz. He must have attacked the observatory this afternoon when she was alone, and implanted one of his cerebral cells into her head. He's beaming radio signals to tell her what to do. Put your weapon down, Autobot, Aunt Sue says stolidly, or I will shoot Jack. Now, 2 engines. Jazz transforms into a F-11 fighter jet. Bombshell is a bug. A large version of bug, a robotic bug, and that can kind of fly that. Is it? I want to say stag beetle. Yeah, the horn on his antenna. Yeah, it was a stag beetle. Don't know you have much in the way the engine sounds though. Not from him. But yep, his cerebral cells is his ability. That. Yeah, we've got 2 options. If I have the deactivated null field device, I can do something. If I don't have it, I have to go to nothing. But I don't have it, do I? There is a blinding pulse of light from Jazz, and everyone shields their eyes. Taking advantage of your aunt's confusion, Jazz steps forwards and seizes her before she can pull the trigger. She struggles but cannot get free of the Autobot's metallic grasp. When he pushes her back, you see Bombshell's implants as a bump under the skin behind her ear. Using a narrow laser beam from his rifle, as deftly as a surgeon might use a scalpel, Jazz removes the cerebral cell and crushes it underfoot. Aunt Sue staggers over to your uncle. Thank goodness I'm rid of that ghastly device. I've been under Bombshell's control for hours. If not for Jazz, I might have killed you. Outside, the stream of Starscream's jet builds before cutting out. You can now hear only the low rum from Bombshell's engines approaching. Again, Bombshell, robotic stag beetle, doesn't really have much of an engine noise. Interesting that she knows who Bombshell is, but probably heard them say. Jazz using his rifle to do a thin laser beam. Not really. I mean, you see the things considered under the ear, under the skin, behind the ear. So the laser would actually cauterize the wound. So that's fine. Don't know if you're interested in this commentary, but there you go. Starscream's gone at supersonic speed, realizes Jazz. Everyone get down. As you throw yourself to the floor, one side of the dome explodes into fragments of stone and twisted steel. Because the dome of an observatory is made with stone. Okay. Through the broken gap, you see a starry night sky. A powerful fighter plane sweeps in and drops towards the floor of the dome, transforming into the forbidding figure of Starscream. A loud rumbling in the sky follows him like a thunderclap. Because of his supersonic velocity, he got here before the sound of his jets did. A horrible blue shape hangs in the air above the dome. Then it starts to descend. It looks like a giant insect. Bombshell prefers to remain in his Insecticon form for now. He knows that it frightens you. Bombshell is not blue. Bombshell is purple and black, with bits of yellow. Art is toy accurate. that's a good thing. And yeah, a giant robotic stag beetle would be quite terrifying. Though I just don't understand this blue bit, or yeah. While Bombshell keeps an eye on the four of you, Starscream marches over to the telescope and starts to swing it across the heavens. I'm sure you guessed, Jazz, he says with a note of triumph in his tinny voice. I'm looking for the weapons pod from Cybertron. Aha, there it is, floating close to the asteroid belt. He takes out a small metal spear. It starts to beep when he presses a stud on the sides. This is a homing beacon which will call the pod down to Earth. It will fall with the destructive power of a meteorite, of course, so Bombshell and I will watch it from a safe distance. What shall we do with the humans, Master? Says Bombshell in a creepy humming voice. They shall be our slaves. As for Jazz, assume your normal form, Bombshell, and destroy him. Okay, now... interesting here... well, of course it will hit like a meteorite, because it literally is a meteorite. But Bombshell referred to Starscream's master. The Insecticons are generally portrayed as not so much being dumb, but they're hungry. They like to deal with themselves first. If another Decepticon comes up and says, "Hey, I've got a plan. This will get you a lot of energy if you work for us," they'll do that. Generally, they don't side with either side. They're just mostly in it for themselves. So him working for Starscream makes sense. Whether he's referring to Starscream's master, I don't know. Maybe Starscream just decided, call me master. Bubble. I then got an option. If I had the cerebral cell that was controlling your aunt, or I did not have it. I basically had no option to pick it up. So I do not have it. Jazz lifts his photon rifle as Bombshell moves towards him. Bombshell seems uneasy as his step falters. Will you not assist me, mighty Starscream? He whines. Bah! Are you afraid of Jazz? He is hardly the strongest of the Autobots. Starscream also moves towards your friend. Jazz seems uncertain what to do. Then suddenly he jumps backwards and presses a button on the panel behind him. It is the button that controls the telescope's movement. The huge telescope rotates quickly and descends on Bombshell. Its hydraulic supports pin the foul Insecticon to the floor. Again, another bit of artwork. Interesting to this one, Bombshell has not transformed. Which is correct, because Starscream ordered him to transform, but Bombshell had not actually transformed. That's nice bit of attention to detail. Also, previous bit, it seemed that Starscream was looking for the eye of the telescope. This is about 1985, the Insecticons. 84 Transformers, but 85 when Transformers came out. So I'm trying to think, a huge telescope at a really expensive, powerful one. Would you really have a manual eyepiece? That'd be really dangerous. Be an electronic eye by that point. Dangerous in the fact that one thing is really heavy, but also you can easily touch it and it will slightly shift it. And if you're doing long distance, a tiny little shift really matters. But again. Also, by look at the telescope in this picture, it is tiny. There's enough to cross the Transformer, that stuff, but it's clearly this is not a big time observatory. Starscream glances up into the sky. Following your gaze, you see a tiny pinprick of light. It must be the weapons pod entering the Earth's atmosphere. Jez starts to bring his flamethrower to bear on two Decepticons. But before he can do so, Starscream unleashes a concussive blast which stuns him. Farewell, humans, rages Starscream as he begins to resume his aircraft form. I must depart before the weapons pod smashes this place to rubble. His mechanical laughter is drowned out as the roar of his jets ignite. You look to Jazz, but he is still too groggy to act. Starscream's homing beacon, which is attracting the falling weapons pod straight towards you, lies on the floor beside the telescope. I forgot to comment about the previous one. Yeah, Bombshell then asking Starscream, help me, Master, and Starscream basically, nah, you're on your own. Is again pretty much just treacherous. Useful in a way, but treacherous, and not often written that well, but that's fair enough. Anyway, I can either get the homing beacon and hurl it at Starscream, or I can put it in my pocket. If I hurl it at Starscream, that would be the better option, I think. You run across to the flashing beacon, snatch it up, and throw it. Luck is with you. The beacon drops into the air intake on one of Starscream's jets and catches there. Now, on the air intake, that is going to be a problem. Because it'll probably get ground to peace if it gets through there. To the overconfident Decepticon, you're too insignificant to matter, so he fails to notice what you have done. With a thundering roar, Starscream speeds up away from the dome. Weapon pod is descending fast, and it swerves in the air to follow him. Starscream does not realise this because the beacon is lodged inside his jet, and he is too astonished to dodge. The heavy pod smashes through his starboard wing like a shooting star. Thick black cloud bellows from Starscream's broken wing. Any normal plane would drop from the sky, but he is a master of flying and somehow manages to glide away. Yeah, slight problem here is he's astonished. Why? He doesn't realise that the weapon pod is aiming for him, but he seems to be astonished that it's aiming for him. And for some reason, the artwork has his front landing gear out in jet mode. You don't generally fly in the sky with your landing gear out. Well, you do when it comes to land, but it's a bit dangerous. But, yeah, fair enough. Go away. Jazz steps toward Bombshell, who has now recovered. It seems your evil master is running away, laughs the Autobot as he raises his flamethrower. Are you prepared to continue our battle alone, Insecticon? Bombshell's eyes sparkle with alarm. He has no wish to stay and fight Jazz on his own. She rapidly soars aloft and speeds off behind his damaged master. Makes sense. Bombshell is part of the trio of 3 Transformers referred to as the Insecticons because of Transformers insects. They did actually release later Insecticons, but they're getting a bit complex and a bit beside the point here. Starscream's evil plan has been thwarted, and your uncle and aunt are safe. Though the dome was shattered when Starscream blasted his way through it, the damage can be repaired. Fortunately, the priceless telescope is not even scratched. Though it is late, your uncle and aunt insist on asking Jazz a stream of questions about his home world, how he and the Transformers came to Earth, the strange technology they possess. You are almost overcome with wonder at Jazz's incredible tales. When he finally leaves, it is almost dawn. After saying goodbye to your friend, you stand with your uncle and aunt watching him drive away along the lonely mountain road. You know that he and his companions will continue to struggle against the evil Decepticons. And if, as you hope, they ever win that struggle, a small step on the way to that victory will have been won with your help. And that's the end. Quite a short one really, but yeah, fair enough. It's nice commentary. There's some nice bits that are relatively accurate to the toys and the characters. Geography is a bit weird in places, of course. Yeah, to read the rest of the intro actually, because I can read that now. Again, this is why I thought it'd be a bit spoilery. You will meet the valiant Autobot Jazz and help him fight against the evil Starscream. But be careful, your actions will decide whether the Decepticon is defeated or whether he gets a terrible weapon he needs to overthrow the world. This is an adventure story, but it is not like most other adventure stories. There is one big difference. You are the main character. What happens in this story depends on your decisions. The fate of the Transformers, whether the valiant Jazz will prevail or whether the evil schemes of Starscream will defeat him, is in your hands. Do not read the pages of this adventure in numerical order as you would an ordinary book. You should start on page 1, of course, but where you go from there will depend on what you choose to do. Prepare yourself to meet the Transformers. Again, yeah, it tells you about Jazz in it and Starscream is the main villain, so it kind of. The cover artwork is not bad. It's more toy accurate. In fact, the Jazz one suspiciously looks at the box art, but it's not quite. And yes, if you go by the proper Transformers, the original stuff, the Autobots were literally peace workers. They were basically, they just wanted to live there. Decepticons were always more aggressive. Megatron's motto was peace through tyranny. Basically, he wanted to rule the world and the whole universe, and since it's doing everything he wanted, therefore it would be peace. nowadays they like to try and say, oh, we're going to be more grown up by having him. He was actually a sufferer, a slave, fighting against an unjust system. Which really does not work, and Megatron was not that kind of character. You can explain bits a bit more, but you're just starting to be a bit stupid, I think. Your idea of being grown up is you're not thinking it through. And yeah, it's like if you have a character who's evil just because he wants to be evil. I mean, if you look at the Mask toys, which were similar in a way, in the fact that you had a human figure who wore a mask as a helmet that you could take on and off, and it came with a vehicle that transformed to some extent. I mean, the main leader of the good guys was Max Tracker. Was it Mark Tracker? Matt Tracker, sorry. And his vehicle was a truck. They could then expand the back, has a missile launcher there, little work lab, and back could come off and even a little car and all fancy bits. And main villain, I forget his name now, he's a overweight general, had a helicopter that transformed into a jet, basically. It's quite, again, nice toy. I got some of their toys and their stuff. And since I got from Boots, I've been with damaged and missing bits. And they're just so expensive to get now, I'm not even going to bother to try and get some bits are. But the main thing about the villains was literally we want money, we want to be rich, therefore we steal it. Simple enough. Perfect. There are tons of people in this world like that. It is realistic. But oh no, so-called most of this advanced, more grown-up fiction, they have to have, oh, these are actually good guys who are fighting against an unjust system, but they do it nastily, and you get to a stage where that's just not grown up, that's just overly complex and things, and you're not being smart. It's probably smart when they tried this back in the 1800s, but it's not smart now. I mean, it's one of these things. Anyway, don't know how this is if this is enjoyable or not, but hopefully you have enjoyed it. My voice hasn't been too grating, and I'll probably look at another story later on. There's another small Transformers one that was used by Corgi, because that one was actually Peril from the Stars. Next one was Desert of Danger. There were also some American ones, a lot more American ones, and of course there are other adventure game books and such like I can go through. If people are interested, if I could find somebody else, I'd probably go with somebody else as well, but unlucky. So, hope you enjoy this. Leave some comments if you have, and I'll probably talk later. Bye.